It's noon Eastern. Hey, everyone out there in LinkedIn land. It's Jen Frazier, CEO and founder of Firefly Partners, with another episode of UnTangled, conversations on digital and AI for social good. As I said, I'm the CEO of Firefly Partners. I've been working with nonprofits and technology since the kind of the Stone Ages, 2007. I don't know even what was happening. Was there an internet back then? I don't remember. No, it's been fun. It's been great. 18 years in, still loving the work and loving to support all you great people out there doing amazing work every day. We're going to be joined today by my long-term friend, esteemed guest, Peter Genuardi, who is the principal and founder of See the Stars. And Peter is going to be talking to us today about using AI to strengthen the social safety net. And we sort of changed the conversations of Untangled to be a little more focused on AI, as like I read this amazing article in the Times yesterday about the AI disruption that we've been waiting for is here, and I was very excited. I don't know if other people read that article, but it made me go, yes, this is it. And one of the great things I want to talk about is how we can use these amazing tools to do good in the world. And so, Peter, you have an amazing story to tell. I'll let you dive in. Tell us a little bit about you and See the Stars and how you got to doing this great work, and then we'll get into the particulars of the work itself.
Wow. Jen, thank you very much for that introduction. I hope we haven't built things up too much here, but I'm super grateful to just be included, and thanks for bringing me on to chat with you.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about when we actually met for the first time, and I realized that it was probably 18 years ago. I had just moved to Boulder, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, you've got to look out for Jen Frazier." I was like, "What does she look like?" And she's like, "Well, she's got curly hair, and like you will know her voice when you hear it." And like I was at the farmers market, and I think they said like your husband at the time had just like broken his leg, and I saw this woman with curly hair with this distinguished voice and a guy on crutches, and I was like, "Are you Jen Frazier?" And you're like, "Who are you, you mutant?" And yeah, it's been 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, since then,
Yeah.
oddly enough, too, like our daughters are not disclosing too much, are like 2 weeks apart, like
Yeah, they are.
literally two
Crazy.
weeks. Yeah.
Parallel lives, and also, yeah, parallel and Boulder. But yeah, we often see each other at conferences in various places around the country, shockingly. So it's super fun to have you on. And yeah, we go way back, but you're doing like really cool stuff. So we did this AI sort of gathering in the Boulder, Denver area in November, and I really had no idea of like the cool stuff that you were doing. I kind of had some inklings, and Peter and I have had parallel sort of like agency lives and doing a lot of digital and marketing and trying to help nonprofits do amazing things with the tools that are out there. But then like Peter got up and told the story, and I was like, what have you been doing? I haven't been paying enough attention. So I was like, when I started to think like, who could I have on and talk about like the really like innovative uses of these tools right now for the social good sector, I was like, Peter, you have to tell the story. So, and here
Yeah.
you are.
Well, I will take you back just a few years before, 18 years, to just say that like when I started my career, I thought I was
Yeah.
going to work inside nonprofits for my entire life. Both of my parents were social workers for 25, 30 years, and I just thought I'd follow in their footsteps and kind of follow that long line of, esteemed social workers, people who are trying to serve people in need.
Yeah.
Fast forward, you and I kind of connected in those years where I was working for software companies. So after grad school at a fellowship with the Congressional Hunger Center, I left my role doing direct service work for anti-hunger, anti-poverty, economic development organizations to go back and work for Get Active, which was one
Hmm.
of the better fundraising platforms in its day. Learned a whole ton about how software and interactive technology can support nonprofits, but particularly on the giving side. And so, you mentioned before that both of us have run agencies that focus on things like fundraising and strategy. And, we really, my team for a long time was focused purely on fundraising. We've probably raised about $100 million. It's a small drop in the bucket, I know, compared to the work that your team has done. But in all of that time, we really got good at using those tools that help us connect with people, find people interested in a cause, get them to open their wallets, get them to volunteer,
Right.
and build really strong long-term relationships with them. And so in the last 10 years, we have taken all of those tools of late capitalism and turned them towards benefits access. And so the same techniques that we would use to get somebody to donate or to buy a TV from Best Buy, We use those to go out and find people in need. So people who are older, people who may be less technically savvy,
Mhm.
definitely trying to reach equity populations, people who are less likely to be male, less likely to be white, less likely to speak English. And we steer those people into these programs where organizations are helping them with everything from nutritional assistance to job training to Medicare and Medicaid enrollment. And so, for the last few years, we have been focused on sending millions of people into these programs. I think we helped just about a million people, just over a million people in 2025 to steer them from the wilderness right towards programs that really have a good chance of improving their lives.
That's awesome. I mean, that's just like so impactful. And honestly, that's what we are, all of us, yes. Same thing. I thought I was going to be a nonprofit staffer forever and mostly kind of came into the agency side because I felt like I could have a broader impact and help a lot of different organizations on a lot of different causes, which I have. And it's been amazing to sort of be able to be a part of the work that all these different organizations are doing about all the different causes that I care about deeply. But I love that. I don't know that I have even like these numbers to drop. I'm the worst marketer ever for my own case studies and business.
Shoemaker's children. Shoemaker's
I've
children, yeah,
raised
yeah.
I've raised all this money or I've done all these things. I'm like, yes, we have. My clients have done amazing work and we've helped them along the way. I can only say I'm an enabler. Folks are out there doing the hard work themselves. I just like to be a part of it and help them, get the tech either get the tech out of their hair and help it do the better things, or obviously help them learn themselves how to use it more effectively is like my main goal in life. Because I'm like, stop fighting. And now we've got like a lot of
Right.
cool new tools that are sort of emerging right now in a rapid pace. And so you've been doing this work for a while. How has it been and how has it changed? Like what's going on right now and how have you seen the emergence of tools that have come on the scene in the last, year, 2 years, but certainly in the last 6 months has radically changed what's going on in the space. What's different for you all in the space of the ever evolving technology landscape?
I think we really decided to pivot and focus our efforts on this benefits access stuff in the
Hmm.
last year.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the folks listening today and the people who do this work are familiar with the bill last year, HR1, which is basically gutting tons of these assistance programs for people living in lower income households. Those
Hmm.
things are like SNAP, the Nutrition Assistance Program, and Medicaid as an example. And they're literally trying to give rich people tax breaks by virtue of requiring people to re-enroll in Medicaid and SNAP, way more often. And those systems
Right.
are being crushed. We've never as a country been particularly good to people living at the margins trying to participate in our economy.
Right.
Fortunately or unfortunately, what we've been really good at as a civilization is here in late capitalist America, we've been able to develop these amazing tools, right? There's a great quote like I've seen the best minds of my generation focused on getting people to click on things, and we have built that technology terribly well.
I know.
We've all used it for the last, couple decades, particularly in the
Right.
fundraising space. But
Sure.
I would tell you that like our techniques and tactics are pretty well refined. In the
Hmm.
last year, though, Jen, and this is what I think is most interesting to you and me today, is that so many of these tools that are artificially powered by artificial intelligence have
Hmm.
accelerated our ability to take these programs to scale. And
Hmm.
so there are a couple of ways that I see us really using them. I would also say that before I sound like I'm a huge fanboy for artificial intelligence, I should be very careful to say that I am a skeptical user of artificial intelligence, right? Like we are going to be very careful that the mistakes that like we have made as a civilization like don't get magnified and amplified with AI's use. I also, every time somebody shows me a funny GIF that they made with AI, I'm like, I can feel it getting warmer in here. Can you please like just think about the planet? And so as we approach doing this in a
Yeah.
responsible way, I think there are a
Right.
couple of things that really we can take advantage of. First are things like software development, right? Like people have said that in like 5 years, SaaS software will become a commodity that anyone could make at any time and really have it crafted to do all the things. I don't think we're approaching it that quickly, but I definitely see a lot of room for using tools to build prototypes like vibe coding to say, can we build this new web-based platform? Can we make it do agentic things using tools like Replit and that sort of thing? Like
Hmm.
that's kind of fun and nice to explore new ideas, but I think there are tools like Claude Code that will not only help you build software faster, it will
Hmm.
help in the early phases of coming up with like what should it do and how should it do it efficiently. But also it can process stuff overnight and run jobs and do work for you while you're asleep. And so as we think about building this platform that we call Beacon, It is a web-based platform that has tons of content and also forum-based and telephone-based offers to get people connected to these benefits programs.
Hmm.
So continuing to build the features that support that platform using AI is something that we're doing, again, in a careful and thoughtful manner. But we're also using these tools to help us learn more about our audience, right?
Yeah.
Can we look at people's behavioral patterns to help provide them with the right stuff at the right
Right.
time? And
Right.
so the craziest thing I'll offer you, and then I'll take a breath, is that, I think today, when you go to websites to sign up, either Best Buy or, I don't know why I'm using Best Buy as an example. I hope it's not like they're paying me to say this, but like they're a
They're
good
not.
example of somebody who, like, if you go to their website, you are definitely buying something. And I hate to say it, but it's true. You go to these websites today, and whether it's a fundraising website to support a cause you really care about, or to buy something, you're interacting with forms. And I think that very shortly here, we will introduce an agentic version of this where you go to the website, it will interview you and ask you questions about what's going on in your life, what's your biggest challenge, how can I help you today? And it will steer you towards all
Right.
kinds of content to help you change your attitudes and your knowledge, but more importantly, it will keep you connected to benefits. And so there's a world in which we punch back against this HR1 attempt to kick people off of benefits like Medicaid by forcing them to renew multiple times by virtue of helping people remember when it's time to go renew, making sure they show up at their appointments with the right stuff.
Yep.
So if we can make a dent in keeping any of the 11 to 15 million people from losing healthcare or nutritional benefits by doing that, like that's what we're going to use AI to do.
Yeah.
I aspire to be, this is going to be controversial. You might yell at me for saying this, but I think that, like, if there were a world in which we could build a company that builds this digital nationwide safety net, right? We try to use all of those tactics to be something of a Palantir for good, right? Like, why
Ooh.
don't we have a Palantir that's doing things to make the world a better place? I don't know that we can do that here, but it is a really, I think strong aspiration for all of us working in these fields.
Hey, the gauntlet has been thrown. It is fine, and I will support every effort for you to build a Palantir for good. I'm basically the same thing. I want to build a Salesforce for good. Like I have all these like, let's get these sort of like, whatever. I'm just gonna say the word evil because I in my in
Yeah,
my
I mean,
in my world these are
what's
evil
what's
people doing evil things, and they're really out to
yeah,
like
what's
make
I
a
mean, it's a
world a
great
worse place, in my opinion. So like, let's not call it
yeah.
anything other than what it is. In my opinion, that's fine. They already have me on a list. It's fine. But yeah, I want you to break it down for us though. So you said a lot of things, and I think everything you're saying is super impactful. But like, I'm like at the space where I'm like, for tactical purposes, for folks out there being like,
Yeah.
but wait, what actually has been built? What is it actually doing? How are the tools taking you from idea, or sort of like what was early versions of things you're building, and what's happening now that the cloud codes and things are available, where you said we're moving toward the space of maybe having this more interactive intake process, like what's happening now, and then sort of, are you like, what tools, what systems is the stuff built on? Because I know there's a lot of technical,
Yeah.
geeks that want to know that the deal, but also just like then the realistic opportunities for folks out there thinking about what can we build in this space to try to combat the evil forces, trying to help, trying to disempower billions and billions of people. Like what do you do? Break it down.
Yeah, I mean, well, sorry, and do you want to, like, are you,
I'd like
I'm happy to talk about
realistic,
myself
like
all day long, but I want to actually, like, useful to
yeah.
others. So, like, yeah,
Yeah. What's useful is a little bit like, what did you build on? How long is it
yeah,
taking you? What's changing right now? Are you actually like vibe coding a bunch of this right now? Or you still have a team of developers? Like, are
yeah,
there
yeah,
both
yeah,
things happening? Like, kind of just a little bit more of insight of like what the infrastructure is behind, connecting people. I mean, this is a huge thing you're talking about, trying to connect millions of people to the benefits that actually are available to them. But obviously, the morass has been created in such a way right now to make it nearly impossible for the like typical average person to navigate on their own. So the idea that you're trying to help the average person navigate this is huge and
yeah.
amazingly beneficial, but like kind of like, and so I think people have ideas, but this space from getting an idea to the reality, just trying to get a sense of what that looks like.
Yeah. So I would tell you, so let's talk about it at a high level, and then I'll give
Yeah.
you a great example of how we're
Okay.
doing it in the benefit space.
Perfect.
Truly, I was talking to a colleague of mine about how he's using AI to support his software development, and I said, yeah, I feel like it's really easy for me as somebody who's reasonably good engineer, but not particularly great. But I am good at the business side of things, coming up
Right.
with the user experience and describing that and how a website should work for a consumer versus an admin and these things. And I said, I was just throwing all that into AI and getting it to come back to, he's like, don't even bother, right? Just why don't you ask AI how it would solve the business problem? And so I've been using Claude specifically to help me
Mhm.
identify the functional requirements to build lots of features. And
Hmm.
so I would suggest that like anybody who wants to plan the development of a website or a new piece of software or just something fun to test, like go start solving problems and see how the computers would recommend how to do it, right? And so I think I open the door by setting some context with Claude. I tell it that I'm trying to build a software solution that does ABC. Here are the
Hmm.
people I'm trying to reach. And its ability to come back to me with a functional spec that breaks it into engineerable like user stories is amazing. All of that then we're feeding into things like Claude Code to help us build. The initial platform that we built was built on WordPress, and we built some really good tools to capture first party data about what people are doing on the site.
Hmm.
And so, because we have built and rebuilt that probably 2 or 3 times, we're in a
Hmm.
really good position to feed that into Claude Code, which is then building for us using things like Node and React as the front end. It connects with our data warehouse and sends data over there to tell us
Yep.
who's doing what.
Okay.
And so I really think from a development perspective, like these tools are great. And I offer only the word of caution that's like, like they'll miss the mark, they'll hallucinate a bit. And so you still need an expert on your team, right? Like I don't think you and I were talking about a colleague of ours who has built a great platform using Claude Code. And his perspective is, I don't need anybody to validate it, right? Like I will
Mm.
create an army of test bots to test this thing and tell me what's broken. And I still feel like I've got to hold on to
Yeah.
having a senior engineer and an architect review the code that it gets built to be sure that like we're not, that we're protecting people's data appropriately, that the
Right.
system doesn't have a ton of errors.
So, yeah, see, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other way that we are improving like how we deliver benefits and connect people with the right things is this tool that we're building to help people apply for property tax rebates. So
Mm.
at the state level around the country, there are 150, 155 potential property tax rebates that you could get. When we look at how we would vet whether or not you qualify, right, we would have to ask you 650 questions if you were to apply for all of them. Now you
Right,
wouldn't, but
right.
what we have done is built a tool that does the natural language processing to look at those 650 questions. It reduces them into 30 normalized questions, and
Mm.
then we are
And like feed it in.
using those to load into a super efficient experience. And so you might only have to answer 5 questions, and by the time we're done, you have been recommended to 2 Colorado state property tax rebates to get $1,000 rebate that again like goes a long way in shoring up your
Oh yeah,
savings.
oh yeah.
And so, I think 10 years ago we would have tried to do that with just a logic tree. Like if Jen says, "Yes, I'm over 65 and yes, I live in Colorado, but no, I wasn't a veteran and yes, I have a disability."
Right,
Great, but like the amount of time it takes to build anything like that, like takes forever and the accuracy is poor. And so
right.
we've built this interface to help us do that math. And then when we build the front end, right, for the benefits tool that Peter will use when he comes to the website to test himself, we've also built a tool to help with the QA. So that way we can actually compare in the final version, do we get the accurate results and are they acceptable? And so,
Hmm.
specifically, we're using tools like one piece of Gemini to help us do that math on like take the 650 questions, put them into the 30, et cetera, et
And
cetera.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Have I
Interesting.
talked about enough details? I just
No,
want to
no,
make sure I'm giving
that's
you.
actually what I was like. I'm like, that's a perfect sort of use case that helps, I think, take big ideas and turn them into like real specific examples for people to say, yes, like there probably aren't exactly that correlation of what you need to do at your organization, but same thing, if you're trying to help your service area, decide like folks in your in catchment area or whatever, saying, great, we have these specific services. How can we help match, folks in the community to the specific services that we provide in a way that's like way, 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 way less labor intensive for the user out there in the community and for your team internally to help route them to the right place internally so they can again find their way to the right services. It's pretty applicable, I think, to a lot of social services, nonprofits that are doing similar type of work like within their organization or even like trying to connect to different organizations within the community that provide different types of those services within an area where you're like, gosh, how do I, right now it feels a lot like folks are doing a lot of stuff pretty manually, or they have been doing stuff pretty manually. These kinds of opportunities are coming online right now, and it's mostly the opportunity to know what's possible and then take advantage of like finding the right folks that can help build some of those intake processes, and like routing, possibilities to really like help reduce staff load. Because my main, one of the main things out here I think is happening right now is the opportunity. I know there's a lot of fear and things like that about replacing jobs, but really what I keep doubling down on is just helping to reduce the busy work or the heavy lift of like processing things that like again free the people to then do those interpersonal relationship building work that is necessary as a part of the social services work. So I don't know if that's something where how you kind of augment cutting down this time for the individual with the opportunity to then be like, great, we can now spend more time having that, one-on-one conversation with people, or really then helping them still navigate their way through, because the technical processes have been streamlined, so much that there's a little bit more space for them to interact with it than a person while they're trying to navigate these systems. That's one of the biggest obstacles I know to helping people like get through that madness, is being like, okay, great, you've helped streamline the automated processes, but I actually sometimes just really want to talk to a person. And if you take a lot of the hours out of the, form filling out and all of that and directing them immediately to the right form, you're like, whoa, you just saved them countless hours. I'm sure you're doing calculations on hours that your time of save for the individuals trying to navigate these systems, but it frees up the people for the more human aspect of the work. Yeah. And I don't know if you're seeing that with your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned two things I think are really important there. One is this notion of like efficiency, right? Like again, capitalism is terribly efficient in the sense that it produces tools that try to get the right offer to the right person at the right time and does it without wasting a penny. I think on our application, right, the way that we are trying to approach this, we want to be sure that we are getting people to the right place at the right time. And so part of our challenge is getting the right service to Jen at the right time, but also making sure that the services we recommend don't conflict with one another. It's kind of like the problem we're trying to solve is that when we make recommendations to Jen, we don't want to recommend that she increases her income and then gets booted off of food stamps, right? Like we need to be sure that it's kind of like at the pharmacist, they have a computer that helps make sure there's no adverse drug interactions. We need to make sure that that's happening. But the other thing you said that's really important is that notion of a human in the loop, and whether it's in our development process building software, or whether it's helping at the community-based organization level, right? We want to successfully divert people from those high-touch contacts with social workers, if we can, and like reserve the social workers' time who can only talk to 50 people a week for those people who are really in need and need extra care. We are working with one of the people helping us with this program, and as we reach out, we're talking to lots of people who work as Medicaid administrators and organization professionals. But Eric Rubin, who is a terrific marketer but also holds a master's in social work from Smith, has been advising us and helping us make sure that as we build this thing, we're not just going direct to all the people who can use computers on the internet, right? But we're also making sure that this fits into, a Medicaid team's operations, a community-based health clinic's operations in a way that maximizes the very small amount of resources we have to serve people in need, and to really take this to scale. And so I think that human in the loop is important. And I can envision us shortly here having a tool that Jen could use on her own on the web, or Peter as a social worker could use to advise his clients in his office, in downtown.
Yeah, I think that actually is a really interesting aspect of it. Yeah, the time saving again on the sort of the staff person side of saying, wow, actually now I can really easily point my clients to the right spaces, help them fill out the right forms, making sure they're getting set up without then having to spend copious amounts of time sifting through, all that. And same thing, making sure that things aren't conflicting. You're like, oh, if you apply for this and you get this, then suddenly you're not eligible for that. And making sure all of that is being taken care of, which is really impossible for just one human brain to sort of make sure you're keeping track of all that all the time across your whole, client load and things like that. So those are other great uses of use the super brain to help, in those again, interactions with an individual. But that's super helpful to think about. So tell me again, is this So this system is obviously publicly available. It's called Beacon. How do people find it? Or
Yeah,
or people direct people to it if if you're listening and you want to be like, what is this? Where do I find it?
yeah. I mean, the best place to get information just about what we're doing in this regard is
Mhm.
our website. So
Okay.
we're at again thestars.com. There's some information there that describes Beacon, and
Okay.
then I think I would hesitate to offer like where I could show people what it looks like today, but I would be happy to give somebody a tour and show them what it
Sure.
looks like in the wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah. And like you said, you had like some ideas of like where you're gonna take the platform, different ways of sort of iterating, making the process simpler, and you're trying to scale this. So right now, is there a certain geographic area this is being used on? Is it in a certain containment and you're hoping to scale it larger? What's the current scope of it?
Yeah,
Who's sort of eligible? And then what's your plan to sort of help grow it?
yeah. If you have the answers to all those questions, I'd be much obliged. But no, let me tell you about the research we're doing. So today there are probably 5 deployments of this thing out there in the wild, and they are
Okay.
working for national organizations that serve niche populations. And
Okay.
so one of the organizations we do a lot of work with supports lower income people over 50.
Okay.
And we help them reach a whole ton of people and refer them into these programs. We are actively pursuing other organizations that have a nationwide footprint and
Okay.
want to be able to support the people who mean the most to them, right? Is it women and children? Is it veterans? Is it people struggling with cognitive disabilities, those sorts of things?
Hmm. Okay.
But truly, Jen, the place where we are trying to crack the nut right now is to help with this Medicaid issue. Just to boil it down, if part of the challenge here is that a lot of the hospitals in rural communities around the country are funded in great part by having a lot of people on Medicaid come through the door. When people stop coming through the door with Medicaid to help pay, these rural hospitals are going to have to close. And so, truly, we are working on figuring out the right model so that we could help those rural hospital systems use a tool like this to keep people engaged and to keep them connected to their benefits so they
Hmm.
can keep those hospitals open and serve not just people on Medicaid, but everybody else who lives there. So that's where we're going with some of the niche
Okay.
population. But truly, my vision is to build a nationwide digital safety net. And so we are hopeful that a little bit later this year, we will roll out basically a national version of this thing that anybody could use. And
Yeah.
so as our clients want, right, we can promote their content and their offers and connect people with their services. So, I think back to like the Care 2 heyday, right? Like it was this
Hmm.
beautiful marketplace for people to come find causes to get connected to, write
Right.
petitions, learn more about their community.
Yeah.
And I envision us really building a marketplace that looks like that, but
Mhm.
for social services. And it's not just, I want to be clear, like we're not just sending people to something where they put in their zip code and they can see that there's a community-based organization that provides food assistance. We are taking you the last mile. And so our goal is to get you to a place where you can pick up the phone and call directly for a particular service, or you fill out a form that says, connect me with this food bank, and you get a
Hmm.
call back or an email back. It's that last mile that I think is unique about what we're solving, and we're going to
Okay.
solve it on a national level.
Let's do this thing. Okay, Peter, you're on a mission. I love it. I'm excited about it because you're just like there's so many different problems that are happening in the world right now and this is a huge one and I love just the opportunity to hear your story about how you're harnessing obviously technology that's been around for a long time, but then all this new technology in exactly the kinds of ways that I'm super excited about. Like this is it. This is like see the problems, help build it, try and close the gaps, try and help the people. Like this is exactly the kind of work that I think I love to highlight. So thank you so much for coming on today and telling people about it. It's again seethestars.com. Peter, if you know how to find him, Genuardi. It's a crazy last name. You can figure out how to spell it. I'll put it in the link. It's good.
Good luck. Good
Um,
luck.
and hear more about Beacon and these great tools, and we'll help you scale it because this is it's a great vision, and I want to see it happen for you and for the people that need the services so desperately. So thank you for doing what you're doing. So that's it for this week's Untangled. Next week, I'm going to be joined by Ryan Miller, who's founder of Spark and
That's great.
Signal, and we are going to be talking about the one thing y'all need to do out there. She's got a lot of great ideas about what you need to do before you start using AI. Don't just jump in. The deep end looks amazing. Everyone's out there swimming around. Before you get in there, let's talk about the important things you need to do at an organization before you jump too far in. But Peter, thank you so much for sharing this amazing story. And we'll look for keeping track of you how you're progressing in this over the next months and years. But thank you for doing the work and thank you for coming on and sharing.
Well, I'm grateful for your work. I'm grateful for your excitement. It's been my
Yeah.
pleasure. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah. Everyone else, have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see you next Thursday at noon Eastern here for another episode of Untangled. Have a good one, everyone.